Well, first off, I'm not a professional speaker. I'm a retired Navy deep sea diver, a chief in the Navy. I met Monroe about a year ago now, I guess. And I was standing in the parking lot at Staples, and this guy pulls in, got a Navy sticker on the back of his car, and I instantly started giving him a hard time, and we hit it off right away. For those of you who don't know, Monroe used to be in the Navy. So as a Navy deep sea diver, I've been around the world 3 times, met everybody twice, been to Maine, Spain, Spokane, and Bahrain, seen things you can't believe, and I moved back to Dayton, my little hometown. So, like I've told you, I'm not a professional speaker. 5 years ago, I started having visions given to me by God, is the way me and Monroe think about it, that I was supposed to be helping Navy veterans, or any veteran actually, with hyperbarics, because the VA is not doing a very good job of taking care of our people. Against the advice of my wife and almost being threatened with divorce, I went and bought hyperbaric chambers, and I started helping people with hyperbarics. I don't like this thing. Here. I'm a chief. I can talk loud. Very well. So, this is my nurse, Robin. She's not his wife. This is Nurse Robin. My wife's blonde-headed also, but her name's Luana. Hyperbarics will heal about 120 things. Hospitals use it for 14 things, and that's it. And they get a reimbursement of about $800 to $1,500 a dive. And you have to do 30 dives at the hospital, usually. I do the other 96 things for $100 a dive because I've retired twice. I've had a great life. God's been good to me. And I thought that this needed to be given to the people. If anybody, y'all know anybody in TVA that can get me a grant for electricity, just let me have that a little while later, because the power bill for running my compressors is high. Oxygen is high, and it takes a little bit to do this. As far as Robin and I know, we're the cheapest people in the United States for doing hyperbaric dives, except for 2 states where they reimburse them, and it's free in North Carolina for veterans. But I do civilians, and they do civilians also. We help people who have become paralyzed from strokes recover and walk out of our building. I've had people come in wheelchairs and 14 days later walk to their car with a walking stick. I've got a young lady who was working for Ace Hardware a year ago, picked up an 80-pound bag of concrete, actually ruptured her artery going into her brain and had a major stroke. She was in Atlanta in what is that place called? A healthcare center down there for not rehab, just to keep her stabilized for about 8 months. And now she's kicking me in the shin with her left leg that she was paralyzed with, out of her wheelchair. She can now stand up on her standing machine by herself. She moves her left arm and her fingers now, and the doctors are just going nuts about how she's recovering so fast. A lot of people that come into our center, including my wife, said, this is a miracle. And it is. That's what God gave us smarts about. But I've got a book by a Russian doctor named Nina who says, Hyperbaric O2. It's not a miracle, it's science. And this is then 5 years ago, I met Dr. Shah Efrati. He's out of Tel Aviv, Israel. He's one of the foremost hyperbaric people in the world right now. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2018 for this protocol that we use. It's called the hypoxic paradox. And all we do is we put you in the chamber, you breathe O2 through a mask while you're in the chamber. We pressurize it to 14.7 psi, and that causes the influx of oxygen, which you're breathing, to go to 200% in your body. So your body's never seen that much O2 in your entire life. You've never experienced that unless you're a deep sea diver. I was a gas master in the Navy. I could put people down at 350 feet and they'd be breathing 6% oxygen. and you're supposed to live on 21%, but the law of partial pressure pushes it up to 21%. Well, when we do this in the chamber, we let you breathe oxygen for 20 minutes, and then you take your little O2 mask off when we tell you to, and your brain is at 200% O2, and it's firing on all cylinders. And I hate to say it, but it's like a crack addict being on crack. If y'all can, your brain is going crazy with all this O2. So when we take it away, it's like, oh, whoa, wait. And your subconscious starts panicking. And you're coming back down to 21% O2 because you were at 200. Well, your subconscious sends a signal to your hippocampus. Am I saying that right, Doc? Hippocampus. That's that southern Tennessee hippocampus, So what it does is it releases the stem cells through your body, all 8 sets that you have. And I'm talking about your body heals itself. We reduce inflammation with the pressure and the O2, and the stem cells heal you that get released. And you do this over a period of 30 to 40 dives for some things, and the older you are, the more dives you have to do. I have a young lady, Amanda, who just came in 2 weeks ago. She is a volleyball player at Sale Creek. She fell, hit her head, got a concussion, got over it real quick. Okay? Well, they thought she got over it. She was telling them she was fine, but she wasn't. Then she slipped at Olive Garden and bumped her head on the table and was buku crazy. Didn't know where she was, who anybody was, what was going on. 3 dives in the chamber, and she's back to normal. Now, I've been to I've called all the athletic directors in the area trying to tell them about this, and they think I'm preaching snake oil, See, the doc, she's laughing. She understands. It's not. It's pure science. We've got some videos out at the trailer where we can show you Dr. Shai Friday talking, veterans being healed, long haul COVID. We've had 58 or 59 cases now, I guess, because we just decided this guy we had long COVID. He didn't have a heart problem. He had long COVID. Okay, doctors are misdiagnosing it left and right. If you come into my facility, I swear, I promise to you, I don't put a stethoscope on you. I don't hook you up to an EKG. I ask you a bunch of questions, and in about 10 minutes, I'll know whether or not you got long COVID. Okay, we've just seen too much of it. Okay, I've got military guys with long COVID that got diagnosed with MS. How devastating is that for a doctor to tell you that you have MS when you have long COVID? 14 dives and he started feeling good. And then he goes, John, I'm not seeing double driving from Nashville no more. Unbelievable. He come in suicidal. Robin can tell you. And then in 2 weeks, after 14 dives, he'd come in for Nashville for 4 days a week and dive twice a day, then go back to Nashville. And he come in on the 3rd week, cut me down to, military guys, we cut each other down all the time. It's just part of life. No disrespect towards each other. It's just our brotherhood that we do. And he cut me down to no pieces, right? And was laughing and cutting up. And he said, you know what? I went back to the doctor. He said, my MS is gone. I said, how about that? Okay, we have children that come in that have autism, and the extra O2 calms the brain down. They have determined now that most autism is caused during the birthing process, along with some other things, chemicals that are out in the world right now. But we have children come in that have cerebral palsy. I can't. I wish I could take a thumb drive and plug it into me and stick it into your head so you could see it right away. And if I'd have been a little bit more on cue, I would have brought my projector, because I didn't think we were going to have a screen over here because they told me there wasn't one. But we could show you a couple of 3-minute videos, 4 or 5 of them. We have them out on the TVs, though. We'll be able to see some of that out there. So I'm over in Dayton, Tennessee. I'm fixing to open up a center in Chattanooga down at Nutrition World, if any of y'all know where that is, on Lee Highway. We'll have 3 chambers down there. Hyperbaric O2 is the most purest medicine in the world. It don't get no purer than time, pressure, and O2. And I'll tell you a side note, when I first started doing hyperbarics for long COVID, you know, everybody was giving me the cross, and you thought I was Dracula or some blood-sucking thing. But some people out of Duke University called me that knew me, and they knew that I thought out of the box all the time from we were all in the military together. And they said, John, how can we treat 1,000 people a day with hyperbarics? I said, well, that's easy. I said, every major airport has an Airbus 320 sitting there doing nothing. An Airbus 320, any big commercial airliner, will pressurize to 14.7 PSI. Every Airbus, every seat has an O2 mask. Every Airbus has an APU, an auxiliary power unit. You can bring extra oxygen in and plug it into the plane. I said, so we take all the cloth seats out, put in plastic seats, bring in 300 people at a time, plug them in, pressurize them, take them out. Do it 5 times. You got to do it 5 times just about to get rid of COVID for the first round, not long COVID. So I said, you do that, 4 times a day, that's 1,200 people. And I said, there you go, there's 1,000 people a day. 2 days later, I get an anonymous phone call. It says caller unknown, but the number's there. And it says, quit talking about airplanes and hyperbarics or else. And they hung up. I backtracked the number. It went right to the NHI in Dr. Fauci's building. So if y'all don't, I'm telling you, that's how it was. Y'all can go on YouTube and watch Dr. Jack Cruz. He can talk about how COVID really came to be and who invented it and how it got where it was and how it got back to us. But that's another soapbox. We'll be out at the trailer for all y'all that are here. I'm offering everybody here 1 free dive at the Hyperbaric Center. They're $100 a dive. Okay? And so Robin brought the appointment book. What did you say? Oh, she told me not to use the F word, free. Oh, but so we'll be glad to sign you up. We have 3 chambers in Dayton now. We started out with 2, and I had to get 3 because I was staying to midnight every night. Monroe's been a couple of y'all been in my facility, but I'm not making a whole lot of money. I'm gonna plug my donation can out there for my veterans because we try to treat the veterans cheap, and I found out if I don't make them pay at least $25, they won't show up. So they got to have a little bit of skin in the game. But it is very miraculous the way that it heals. All of these things I have listed there: autism, Alzheimer's, anxiety, brain injury, cancer, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. Oh my gosh. I've got a mother-daughter. The daughter hadn't been out of the house in 5 years. She was 24 years old. After she'd done hyperbarics, she got a job at the Church of God? She was secretary at Church of God in Cleveland, was driving again, riding bicycles, going on hikes. Every time I run into her mom in the Dayton coffee shop, which is famous in Dayton, she stands up and starts crying and gives me a hug because her daughter's out of the house now and she's living her life. I've got heart patients coming in for 5 dives prior to heart surgery, or any surgery actually, knee surgery, shoulder surgery. We have a lot. I have several doctors sending them to me now because they recover 3 times as fast. If you sprain your ankle playing sports, 2 or 3 dives and you're back playing. I have the Bryan College distance runners. They come in prior to a big meet and they think they're cheating. So they get 2 or 3 dives before the big meet and they set their fastest time ever in long distance running. Yeah. Our town barber, Bobby Beard. There you go. It's BBB. He's been barbering for 50 years. Been cutting my hair since I was this tall. He was in the Air Force. Has a stroke. His wife Cheryl, who's a dear friend of ours, calls us crying. Bobby's had a stroke. What do we do? What do we do? And I said, well, what's the prognosis? They said 4 months before he can go back to work, 6 months before he can play his steel guitar again, because he's definitely a musician. And I said, Cheryl, I said, when they release you from the hospital, don't drive over to Siskins. You drive straight up here to me. Come up here and let me get him in the chamber 5 times before you go to Siskins. She said, are you sure? I said, I'm positive. Bring him up here. So he comes up there. He's real weak. He can barely move his hand, barely move his left leg. His lips dropped on this side a little bit, so his stroke was on his right side. 5 dives. He was back to work barbering the next Monday. 8 dives, and he was playing the steel guitar again. And that's what he was worried about, that he couldn't steel guitar. Okay? We've seen it happen time and time again. Now, sometimes it isn't a complete, sometimes the injury's so bad that it's not going to heal it completely. You'll get some use, but some's better than none. Miss Francis is 84 years old. She had Lyme's disease. She was debilitated. She drives to Slidell, Louisiana, which is right outside New Orleans, all the time now to see her kids. She was coming back, got caught up in a tornado, flipped her truck over. She got all beat up. She didn't break a bone, but she was beat up bad, black and blue. Came back to us 2 years later after that. I mean, it was 2 years later, and she had that accident. Within, 8 dives, all the black and blue's gone. She's running around like nobody's business. Her workers, she has a little vineyard up in Spring City. And her workers called me and said, John, you've got to quit treating Miss Francis. We can't take it. I said, what's wrong? She said, she's working us to death. And I'm like, well, she's 84 years old. She should be working you to death, They said, no, you don't understand. She's not telling us what to do. She's out there beside us working us to death. So it's been around for a long, long time. Hyperbarics has been going on for over 100 years, but the American Medical Association, the pharmaceutical, what are they called? Giants, the cartel is what I call them. They have suppressed all this. They suppressed the fact that Dr. Shai Efrati won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2018 for this, improved it. And it's just now starting to get in the U.S., this protocol that we use. Even all the big doctors in the U.S. are starting to use them now, the protocol. And we've been doing it since we opened. So thanks for letting me come out and talk to y'all. I know I'm not very professional, but I'll answer any questions you have, and I'll meet you out at the trailer. Yes, ma'am.